shooting down in the woods. He wouldn't leave it even if he could. 'Cause life is good, yeah!
This is Hickok45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the deep woods, the snowy deep woods of Middle Tennessee. Yep, Tennessee, home of Alvin York, Davy Crockett, Johnny Cash, and the lovely Dolly Parton. This is broadcast number 2. Wow, we've lasted through 1 and are working on our second broadcast. I'm back again. Enough of you said, do it again, keep doing it. That I'm going to keep doing it, at least for the time being. So we'll carry on and play with this for a while and just see how it goes. It's kind of fun doing it, just yakking away like this and not having to load magazines or manipulate a firearm and worry about the camera, although I enjoy doing all that. So it's kind of different and fun, and hopefully you get a little bit out of it. So we'll just keep at it. And I had a lot of good requests, interesting requests and comments that I have read. Saved some of them in different files. I keep various files for suggestions, and whenever I get a message that has something I don't want to lose, because as you might know, messages in YouTube, you probably have the same problem yourself. And of course I get hundreds a day, and so I don't even see who the username is on some of them. I just read them, answer them, and move on. But I will save one in a Word file if it has some information I want to hang on to for future reference. Suggestions on firearms, maybe, and just different things about the radio show, just whatever it might be, or some technical information. Occasionally I'll get a message from someone who is particularly expert in some area, and I can't deal with it at the time, but I just know I want to save it because I might want to go back and refer to it, and I appreciate all those. But anyway, we're going to carry on, and as I was about to say, there were requests to do podcasts with this thing and everything. As I answered several people, for right now, I'm committed as a YouTube partner to YouTube, and we're just going to make sure we do our YouTube thing, and then we'll make other decisions and consider other things down the road, perhaps. If this thing turns out to be something we want to continue doing, you want to continue listening to it, or if it makes sense, or we'll just see how it goes. We'll just have some fun with it now and worry about that a little bit later. So anyway, if this is your first radio show you're listening to, then you need to go back and hear the first one before you listen to this one. Now it's required listening, so go back and check out the first one, radio show number 1, and then come back and pick up here. We're going to cover 2 or 3 different, more than 2 or 3, I guess, several topics this week. Going to give you an update on the M&P Smith & Wesson, the M&P 40C. Done another video with it, and had another little itty-bitty problem with it, but we'll talk about all that. Talk a little bit about some of the freedoms issues, as I like to call them, really, gun rights issues, and that sort of thing, politics as it relates to that. And some of the things that people have suggested I talk about. I was going to get into a little bit about competitive shooting or competition shooting, just some really, really basic things. And I'm going to bring back my segment on guns I've owned. People seem to like that and want me to continue with that. I'm going to talk about a couple of elephant guns that I've owned and just my experiences with those. Didn't shoot any elephants, but I had some fun with them. One thing I might do is bring to you something that I think might be interesting about an article I read. I read a lot of gun rags, even still, not as many as I used to, but I'll pick up gun magazines, the paper kind at the grocery, and look for something interesting occasionally. And if I've read anything or looked at anything or seen some new snazzy gun or just maybe just be a comment from a article that I've read that I'll pass along, that if I think it's halfway interesting that maybe you missed. Maybe a personal experience or two, we'll see, as relates to firearms, and who knows what else. When I start babbling, there's no telling what I'll talk about. We'll test your knowledge again of firearms actions, and we'll have that. That will be a weekly quiz for you, and I'll give you the answer to last week's mystery firearm. Some of you will be surprised, perhaps. Others, several people got it. But so we'll do that, and who knows what else. Whatever other brainless ramblings I come up with, we'll add that too. So that's all in today's show, and hope you enjoy. And yes, the anti-gun politicians are seizing the opportunity, aren't they? Can never let a crisis go by without taking advantage of it. In reading and looking through the NRA's website, Institute for Legislative Action, the updates on what's going on, it talks about Congressman, Representative Caroline McCarthy, of course, pouncing on the shooting massacre in Tucson Sunday, promising to introduce legislation as soon as Monday. Yet, while those of us who defend the Second Amendment were respecting the heartache of the people of Tucson and waiting to learn the full facts of the case, anti-gun activists were renewing their push for more gun control laws. Quote, in the wake of these kind of incidents, the trick is to move quickly, unquote. The Violence Policy Center Kristen Rand told MSNBC. Don't you love that? In the wake of these kind of incidents, bad grammar, kinds of incidents, it should be, the trick is to move quickly. Yes, take advantage of that situation and those poor people and our freedoms. Rand and other gun ban advocates were quick to push several schemes. The most widely publicized is a proposal, and I'm reading, by Senator Frank Lautenberg and Representative Caroline McCarthy, Democrats from New Jersey and New York, to reimpose a 1994 ban on new manufacture of ammunition magazines capable of holding more than 10 rounds of ammunition, and to criminalize the transfer of existing magazines between law-abiding gun owners. These magazines are standard equipment for self-defense handguns and other firearms owned by tens of millions of Americans. Law-abiding private citizens choose them for many reasons, including the same reason police officers do, to improve their odds in defensive situations. And of course, just like a really, really fast car or something, they're a lot more fun to use on the range, aren't they? Also, Representative Peter King, Republican from New York, proposed to ban possession of firearms within 1,000 feet of the president, vice president, members of Congress, or federal judges. Obviously, this proposal would be ignored by anyone who intends to harm a government official, but would impose extraordinary burdens on honest gun owners, creating potentially hundreds of square miles of roving gun-free areas throughout the United States. Now, wouldn't that just be lovely to try to deal with? Oh, man, these gun-free zones, don't you love it? And, of course, I work in a gun-free zone, of course. How ironic is that? And I choose to do that because I love to teach, so I just don't really have a choice. But, can you imagine creating a gun-free zone just everywhere there's a politician, essentially? That's so brainless, it's not even funny almost. So, what can you say about all that? Anyway, the move is out there. The pushes are going to be there to especially reinstate the quote-unquote crime bill. Oh, it was so effective. So effective. But it doesn't matter how effective something is or a law is. If it will get you votes, simply making the proposal, hey, go for it. Go for the votes. Forget common sense. And, of course, one of the most important ingredients, particularly in gun control measures and things like that, is the emotional factor, the feel-good factor. I tell you, we just really need more busybodies in the world, don't we? We need more do-gooders, busybodies, people that want to feel good. Think about it. Yeah, we're all guilty of that to some extent, no doubt. Some areas of our lives probably. But it really is harmful when politicians, of course, employ that little mechanism. Lots of things make us feel better to think this will help. So much of what we do probably falls under that category when we think we're helping people. It just makes us feel better to do it. It makes us feel better to try something, to propose something. So anyway, I don't know what's going to become of it. Just make sure you're writing letters to the editor, you're calling your congressman, your senators, you're making your feelings known in a respectful, intelligent manner. If you are, again, as I continue to bang the drum on on being a respectable and responsible gun owner. If you are some wacko person yourself, or you look like some wacko. Now, I know I might look like a wacko too in some ways, but if you really look like you're the guy that wears the camouflage, I don't mean hunting, deer hunting gear and that kind of thing, or turkey hunting gear necessarily. I mean, if you're the guy that shows up at a political rally and you got all your Vietnam gear on, and you're wearing a headband, and you're a pro-gun guy, and you might be a really good person, but you're not doing anything for us if you look like you're ready to go to war tomorrow, or that you act as though you want to go to war tomorrow, right here on the streets of the United States for your rights. Hopefully it never comes to that, but you know what I'm saying. I don't mean to offend anybody that, veteran or someone who likes to wear some of their gear and that sort of thing. Obviously, you have the right to do that. You know what I'm talking about. There are just some people who occasionally, you don't see many of them. I go to a lot of gun shows, and occasionally you'll see one of those persons, probably depending on what city you're in. We don't have a lot of that in Tennessee, but someone that people kind of look at like, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that dude buying a gun, But then again, that's just appearances, We're judging somebody by what they're wearing and what they look like. They might be, kind of guy that would save your daughter, and with his life, you just don't know. It's hard to judge people, but still, it does nothing for the cause, and we just got to keep aware of that. I think this is one of the most important things that we can do, because all it takes, with that 1% or that tenth of 1% to give us all a bad name. And, it's unfortunate we have to be so on the defensive all the time about that. And I guess that's part of what I'm saying. Let's not just be on the defensive. Let's be on the offensive and make sure we're doing the right thing, so that we can just, express amazement when someone makes some weird proposal, like some of the ones that are being proposed now. Probably won't go anywhere, most of that, as long as we stay in the fight and keep our elected officials alerted as to how we feel. But we definitely have to stay aware of all that kind of thing and keep on our toes. So just remember to do that. I wanted to give you an update on the M&P saga, the Smith & Wesson M&P 40C. If you're listening to this, you've probably seen those videos on the M&P, and thought I'd let you know what's going on there and what went on. Just kind of sum that up, because it almost looks like I'm trying to make Smith & Wesson look bad or something, doesn't it? It's just kind of one of those coincidences that occurred. As you know, in the first video, as I was shooting to just kind of sight it in and then took some shots early in the video, the frame either started its cracking there and finished, or it was ready to do it. It was nothing I noticed, as I have mentioned many times, in the description. It just wasn't there when I first got the gun. But anyway, you all discovered the crack, and I sent the in the video when you saw it, and I would have really soon, but there's no way to ignore it at that point. It was pretty bad. But I sent the slide back just before Christmas to Smith & Wesson, called them, and they got right on it. There were a lot of people on vacation, as they mentioned, and sent it back to me. I went over this in the first radio show too. So I got slide back, and then I was going to do the M&P Chapter 2 video and kind of update you on that, which I did. And as you know from watching that video, that after whatever 4 or 5 shots, the paint or the dot, whatever it is, came out of the front sight on me. And that's not necessarily the reason I shot bad. It was a little discombobulating, I guess, because I am used to a little white dot or paint on a pistol usually, because Glocks and most of the guns have those. I have shot a lot of pistols, handguns, with just a plain black front sight. I don't prefer that, particularly if you're doing some a little bit of rapid fire and speed shooting and bouncing around, that kind of thing. I like the front sight to have a little color. So I guess I could use it for a little bit of an excuse that my shooting wasn't better in that video. However, I was just trying to shoot a little too fast. It was not the gun, really. It's not the gun at all. It's just me, because that trigger is really nice on that gun. And I guess maybe I was used to being able to see the front sight a little bit easier, but I can't blame it on that. But anyway, you know, I don't know what to say about that other than, you know, that can happen. You know, the big deal there was, of course, the slide being cracked, and they made good on that. Smith & Wesson did. And I'm not going to make a big deal out of the little piece of paint from the site. I did call them back on that and let them know what happened. And, you know, the tech guy or customer service guy, whatever, said it's just paint. You know, I could, if I wanted to put paint in there, it'd probably work, you know. And of course, I painted a lot of sites in my day, and I knew that. Or he said he could send me another site, you know, and I could replace the, you know, in the dovetail. And, you know, since it was their problem, it was a new slide, I just said, yeah, just send me a new site. And I may just put a new site on it. So I'll probably do that. I might put some paint in until I get the new site. But anyway, take it for what it's worth. One of the things I like to do is just show you what happens. Again, my goal is not to bash any gun company of any kind. I'm not going to just go looking for a gun I hate and do a video with it so that I can make that known, you know, or anything. I'm more interested in guns that I like, guns that look good, or, you know, look like they'd be good guns. And that's the way I felt about the M&P. And no, I think it is a good gun. It's just that one just had an issue or two there. So I don't know. Some of you have more experience with them than I have. Seems to shoot really well, and I love the trigger. And so I'll get that sight painted back up and shoot it some more. And I guess, you know, on that same topic, that's one reason I'm more reluctant sometimes on the lower end guns. I think I get a lot of requests to some of the lower end guns, what you might even consider really cheap guns. And I want to do some of that because it is interesting seeing how all these guns shoot. It's been one of the benefits of doing the videos. I've been able to have experience with a lot of different firearms. I always have had a lot of experience with a lot of different firearms. But I guess I kind of settled into the guns that I preferred, and this YouTube thing has generated kind of a new realm here where I'm interested more in different guns because I'm hearing about them every day and messages in my inbox and things that people would like to see and their experiences are with these guns. You know, there's a lot of good guns out there. We're really living in a good time for firearms. There are just so many great guns being made and that are out there, and so as many as is reasonable, I want to be able to try those. It's an awkward thing. It's difficult to get my hands on a lot of guns. It's not like getting my hands on, I don't know, different kinds of ketchup or something, or soft drinks. Although I seem to do that, don't I, for targets. You know, it's the nature of guns and firearms and the firearms laws. It makes it more inconvenient. It makes it more difficult logistically to do that. I've had so many viewers, subscribers offer to send me guns to review and that kind of thing. Yeah, that gets into a little bit of a logistical issue too, you know, because you've got to ship it to my FFL, and I've got to pay them to get it out, and then I've got to pay to ship it back to you, and you got to pay to ship it to me, or I've got to pay you to ship it to me. So, you know, before you know it, we've got a lot of money and inconvenience in that. Of course, not as much money as buying one, but it's in a perfect world, you know, you'd be able to just ship me a gun through the mail, and the U.S. mail, I could shoot it in videos and thank you for it on the video and ship it back to you for $10, you know. That'd be great, wouldn't it? But yeah, we can't do that legally, and we don't ever want to break the law. We don't want to do anything illegal with firearms. It's just that simple. It's just not worth it. You don't ever want, even if it's a stupid law, you got to follow the firearms laws. So anyway, that's where I am with the M&P, and kind of got off topic. But you know what? It's my radio show. If I want to get off topic, if I want to change topics 3 times in 5 seconds, I'll do that. That's the beauty of doing this. So, got the gun. I will do some more shooting with it. They're sending me the sight, and it seems like a good gun. It seemed like a quality gun. That's why I was interested in reviewing it in the first place. Why I asked Clear Twisted Cross if he would sell me his. You know. So anyway. It's continuing, and I'll shoot it some more. So, and I'll keep you updated on how the gun's doing, and you'll see it in more videos. How's that? One thing John told me I should include in one of these radio shows was just a funny story, occasionally, and related to firearms. And he always likes to whine about my taking a stove down to the dump recycling center, whatever. Let me tell you this quickly. You guys, gals that shoot and like to shoot things up, maybe can appreciate this. It was several years back. I've always, believe it or not, I know it's hard to believe, but I've always liked to shoot, and I've always had the tendency to shoot up things. If they look like they'd make a good target, guess what? They became one. Well, over the years here, I've lived here where I am for 25 years now, and you know what happens when you live somewhere that long? Eventually, the water heater's going to break. You've got to replace it. And 2 or 3 of those replaced. Maybe a stove, maybe a refrigerator, maybe a dishwasher. Well, you can probably guess where those things go on the way to the dump or recycling center. They make a short stop off down on the range. So it's always been that way, long before my YouTube days. And anyway, one in particular was pretty funny. We have a county. I still call them dumps. I know that's so politically incorrect. It's a recycling center. But I even call the rainforest a jungle. Wow. I'm really politically incorrect. Old school. But anyway, I was taking this appliance I was going to take down to the dump. But before, it was actually a stove, I think. And it of course, made its usual stop off at the range. I believe I had the Uzi then. I believe it got perforated with several magazines of 9mm through the Uzi, and then who knows what else. I mean, it had been shot probably 500 times, at least. A stove appliance, the ceramic finish and everything. Well, got it on the back of the pickup. Eventually, after it had been shot so much, there was just no other clean places to shoot it that would be fun. And took it down to, it's kind of, we got the main recycling center, the dump, that's several miles away. And there's another one that is not so far. Actually, I don't think they take appliances now, but they used to. It's just 4 or 5 miles away from the house here. And there's an old guy that just kind of manages it, works for the county, I guess, and really old fellow, and he just sort of makes sure people bring things in there. They get it in the right, receptacle and all that sort of thing, and don't take anything that's there, I guess, and just get it dumped in the right place, and he'll even help you unload something if necessary, and generally does. I think he's died since this incident. This was like 15 years ago at least. But anyway, I got the, gosh, I'm going to have to ask 10 Outdoors 9. I'm thinking he might have been the one that helped me. Anyway, somebody was here and helped me. We put it on the truck. John was too young at the time to help me and small, but got it on the truck, took it down there, and just we're going to take it down there and dump it. And of course, pulled up alongside the big trash receptacle and those long metal skid type things, and got parked up on the ramp and ready to get it off there. The old guy came over and was looking it over. And of course, you had to have been there. It's one of those deals. You had to be there to see the guy. He's a really old fella, an old country fella from out here, and probably born and raised back in one of these hollers. And a great guy, don't mean to sound demeaning to him. He looked it over, didn't say much. He wasn't a big talker at all. He just kind of looked it over. And there was that stove sitting in the back of the truck with, 500 to 1,000 bullet holes in it. Obviously, bullet holes. And so whoever it was, 10 Outdoors 9, whoever, and we started scooting it around, getting in position, and I just turned around to him. I said, man, you wouldn't believe the shootout we had in my kitchen last night. Some dudes broke into my house, and I just feel really fortunate to have come out on top of that one. And he just kind of looked at it, looked at me, and kind of grinned, and he, to this day, he still doesn't know whether I was telling the truth or not. We threw that thing in the container and left, and he was still scratching his head. But anyway, just a little funny ditty. I always get a kick out of when I think of that little trip to the dump. Recycling center. So that's the saga of the kitchen stove in my big lie. I know that all of you have been waiting anxiously to hear what the action was last week, what firearm I was working the action on. Been a lot of guesses, and as you've seen from the comments, not counting all the personal messages I've got guessing at it, it's been all over the board. Everybody have been guesses, everything from a lever gun to a Glock to a SIG, 1911, you name it. And by the way, do put those guesses in the. I mean, if you're sending me a message about something else, you know, feel free to mention it, of course. But you know, make your guesses as comments, because I think everybody likes to see what the guesses are and what people are guessing that are interested in that. So anyway, last week the action was, well, you probably know it was something with a hammer, because I think I said I will cock the hammer and pull the trigger. So that narrowed it down a little bit, not a lot. But it was, as a couple of people mentioned, what they thought I might start out with this year of the anniversary, 100th anniversary. Yes, the famous 1911. That's what it was. It was Series 80, 1911, my 1991 model, the Colt Series 80. You know, I've done a video with the blue one, I think, and the stainless one, and it was the blue Series 80, model 1991. So, the suspense is over. That's what it was. If you want to go back and listen to it, you can do that. I have annotated last week's radio show, by the way, in the description. Not annotated, but I put in the description. I think I put where the action was. If I didn't, I'll go back and do that, but I kind of broke it down just so if there was something that you remembered I said that amazingly enough seemed halfway important enough to go back and want to hear it again. Can't imagine that, but maybe that'll help you get to it a little bit. So I'll try to do that each week. Maybe not right away, but at sometime during the week I will get that done. Okay, so it's time for this week's action. And now don't peek. Don't peek. I'm about to work the action. Okay, are you ready? Now, generally, I'll pull the trigger too. So I'm going to work the action, mess with the trigger, and whatever it is I have, you just listen. I'll do it 2 or 3 times. Okay, did that tell you anything? I'll give you another hand. I'll go ahead and I'll sight it. Okay, I'm looking down the sight, and if that tells you anything or helps, that's good. That'd be a clue too. I'm actually seeing the sight, the front sight. Okay, so make your guesses on that, and winners will receive a $1,000 gift certificate to Toys R Us. Just kidding. Some other fairly interesting firearms I've owned. Last show I talked about the Uzi and the Sharps and my experiences with those to some extent. Well, I also have dabbled in elephant guns. I think I mentioned that in a video because, in fact, I did, because several people didn't hear me well and were asking me to do videos with these guns. I think what I said was I had these before. I have had a Browning A-bolt in caliber .375 H&H. Okay, that is possibly the most popular African hunting caliber today. Whenever you read articles about the professional hunters in Africa and what they recommend, if you're only going to bring one gun with you and you're going on safari to hunt a variety of animals, possibly even elephants, if it's legal where you're going, or there's elephants that need culling or whatever, rogue elephants, I don't know. The .375 is supposed to be one gun that can do everything. All right? Maybe not everything as well as something else, but it's if you're going to have one rifle, you really can do everything from hunting deer in Tennessee with it, with hopefully a little bit lighter load, all the way up to big, dangerous game, with the right bullets. The .375 If you're not familiar with rifle cartridges, and I'm not an expert in rifle cartridges, I'm mainly a handgunner. I dabble in rifles and different things, but the 375 H&H is a classic round. It's a wonderful round. Just if you don't believe me, talk to some people that know big game rifles. So anyway, I had to have one of those, and I just did. Same reason I had to have a 458 Winchester Magnum. I had a Winchester Model 70 in 458 Win Mag, Winchester Magnum. That is definitely an elephant gun. I just thought it'd be fun. I really don't even hunt, but I do hunt bowling pins and things of that nature. And I was curious about how they shoot and how they feel and everything. And so, I satisfied that itch over a 2 or 3 year period when I had those two guns. I had some fun with them. I discovered what size trees they'd shoot through, what they would do to a bowling pin, and how they kicked and everything. The 375 I never did hand load for. I shot it a fair amount, not a whole lot. It was a beautiful gun, beautiful piece of wood on that gun. It was, again, the Browning A-bolt. And really, it had a punch to it. I mean, to tell you, it actually, I thought, kicked harder than the 458 Winchester Magnum. It really did. It hit you in the shoulder pretty hard. It was a very rapid pop, and with force. Now, it didn't hurt necessarily. You could go out and shoot 2 or 3 magazines and not be in misery or anything. And when I say magazines, that's 5 rounds, 4 or 5, whatever it held. I don't remember. But it's a very, very fast bullet and a very heavy bullet to be going that fast. You can see, what was it, 200 grain bullets, I think. Gosh, I forgot what the velocity was on that thing. It was maybe 2,500 feet per second. I don't think it was 3,000. I don't know, but it was a fast gun, fast round, and hard hitting. Had to experiment with solids, of course, like they use on Cape buffalo or elephants. Got some of those, and experimented in bowling pins and dead trees and different things, possums, rocks, kind of stuff I do. Just had to experiment, so had some fun with that. The 458, I got a little bit bigger into it because I don't know, I reloaded for it. I actually got dies. Still have the dies. I still have 2 or 3, 4 boxes of shells for that thing, and I have some hand loads, and I have some brass, and I probably should get back into that one sometime. I always thought if I ever found a Ruger number 1, I kind of like the Ruger number 1. It's a single shot gun in 458, Win Mag, and maybe a used one, for the right price. I'd be tempted on that, just to play with it occasionally. But I actually loaded for it. I loaded standard, 500 grain bullets is generally the standard load for that. And I got some solids, same old thing. I had to get the real African bullets and some solid. When I say solids, that means a bullet that's not lead. They were bronze, made of, I think they're bronze. There are various versions of them. Some were different alloys, but they're a solid bullet that, not made of lead. All bullets are solid, or most are solid, but these were heavy metal or hard metal, so they're designed not to flatten out. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. And had to experiment with that, and that thing kicked hard. I mean, it's a 458 Win Mag. I load 4570. It's kind of the same bullet in a lot of ways, and I loaded that at the same time. And I remember I was for a pretty warm load in the 4570. I can't remember the powder charges now. It was this will give you a ballpark. It was like the 4570, say, is 30 grains of the same powder, and the 458 Win Mag took 50 grains of that powder, under the same weight bullet. Is that kind of difference almost. I don't remember it exactly. I'd have to look at my data, but it was definitely a step up from the 4570. And it would push you. You could shoot that. I could shoot it without too much trouble. I could shoot 5, load 5 more, shoot 5, load 5 more, shoot 5. It really didn't hurt me. It was a good jar, but it just moved you back. And I don't know. It's just if you're used to shooting those guns, or in my case, I was just kind of dumb enough to do it the correct way, I guess. I had a friend out shooting who's built like a fire plug. He was very stout, played football, lifted weights religiously, and kind of guy that could just run through a wall, built like that. I handed him that gun, and he handed it back to me after 2 shots. It hurt him. And I think the reason was he was so solid, so strong, and he was maybe fighting it. And he was a shooter too. He wasn't just someone who never shot before. Wouldn't let him shoot that thing. But it hurt him. So the moral of that story is you need to give with the gun, whether it's a .458 Win Mag or it's a 30-06. You need to give with it. That's why, you know what I mean when I say give. You need to let it move you. It's why when you get down on a shooting table, hunched over a shooting table with a really high-powered rifle, it hurts more, because your body doesn't give as much. And if you don't have pads and things, even a 30-30 or something can hurt your shoulder. So your body needs to give. And as long as you kind of went with it when it went off, it really didn't hurt that badly. One other last interesting point about those big guns, one thing I discovered that surprised me. And loading the solids, as they call them, they're bronze bullets, basically. They're hard metal. You hit those with a hammer, and they're not going to dent hardly, like a lead does. Lead is soft, for those of you who don't know about such things. I experimented a little bit shooting some of the metal animals, not much, and want to destroy them. But I shot, here's what I'm getting at. When you shoot one of those turkeys, for example, with a .458 Win Mag, let's see, how was it? The lead round would actually make a bigger crater in the lead, or in the steel, in the target, than the solid would. The solid bullet was, of course I say bronze, is hard. It would not do as much damage to the target as the lead would. The other bullet I loaded in that was, the lead bullets were jacketed, of course, but they were soft tip, jacketed 500 round bullets. The same weight bullet in a solid made out of bronze. The first time I did that, I don't know, I think I had an old target. I wasn't just trying to destroy my targets, but I wanted to see what it would do to them. And I just assumed, I really thought the bronze might go through the darn thing, even 3/8 inch of, soft steel, but I thought it might even go through it, even though it's a big old bullet and it's not traveling like a .223 or anything. I just said, wow, I never shot a bronze bullet. I only shot, lead bullets, jacketed, but lead. And because a jacketed bullet has a soft lead core, for those of you who don't know that, by and large. So I was totally surprised that the bronze bullet did less to that target than the lead bullet did. The lead seemed to drill into it or something. I don't know what all the physics of it are, but it put a bigger crater and had more effect on the very same target than the bronze bullet. So for whatever that's worth, I thought I'd pass that along because I was a little bit surprised. And that's one reason I'm doing this, talking about some of the guns. I'm just going to kind of pick out the more interesting guns that I have had through the years, and that I've had some experience with. How many of you have had a .458 Win Mag and hand loaded for it, and shot steel with, that's so. Just kind of ramble about some of those things occasionally, and so that might have been a little bit interesting to you, or it might not. But how many friends do you have that have elephant guns in their closet? So thought you might like that. I wanted to talk a little bit about competitive shooting. I'm by no means an expert on competitive shooting. I'm mostly just one of you guys, that views the videos and listens to this crazy rambling. I'm not sure what all I want to say about it. I'm not going to say too much in this broadcast, but I have been asked to talk about it sometime. And over the past year and a half, because I have casually mentioned my experiences with that, people will ask me to elaborate. They'd like me to do videos on how to do cowboy action shooting and what the matches look like and what's an IPSC course look like and all those kinds of things. Probably all of that is online somewhere for one thing. But I may do some things like that sometime. I don't know. I get in a wild mood or something. A lot of my videos are based on just what mood I'm in to do. And as I've talked about before, just like what I talk about on this, none of this I have to do, so I want to have fun doing it. And we always enjoy things more if we're just kind of in the mood to do it. Sometimes John and I'll be talking about a video we're going to do, we have planned and all that kind of thing, and then I'll get up the next day. We're planning to maybe do a video or two if we have time, and I'll say, I don't know. I just can't get myself psyched up to do that. What I'd really like to do is something with the Glock 20, you know, or a shotgun video, or let's do something with a shotgun. I'm in the mood to shoot the shotgun, and I think it turns out to be a better video anyway. You know, if I'm in the mood to do it, if it's something that just sounds like fun to do, you know. But anyway, I thought I'd pass that little tidbit along. Competitive shooting, kind of the same thing. What I thought I'd do is talk about an aspect of it that maybe will help you, any of you, because I do get questions about that, about how you get into it, and it probably seems scary to a lot of you. If you have been into guns a little while, you've been to the range several times, you hear people talking about shooting IDPA or IPSC, IPSC matches, or cowboy action shooting, or a GSSF match, you know, a Glock a match, those different things. You're probably thinking, that'd probably be fun. I saw a video on some of that one time. This guy's running around, shooting through these fake windows and around barriers and through barrels and getting up and running and shooting them over here and people watching them. And you're thinking, man, I'd probably trip, or, you know, they're going to laugh at me, missing targets, and that kind of thing. You know, I not to psychoanalyze you, but because I went through that, I'm sure you have some doubts about whether or not you want to try it. I'm not talking to people who already do this, you know, obviously. My advice is, bottom line is, if you think it looks like fun and you'd like to try it, just go try it. Forget about what the score is. Forget about how well you shoot. As long as you're safe and you're trying to hit the target, and you hit the target most of the time, and you're having fun, hey, that's the important thing. That's all that matters. That really is. I'm where some of you are, or I was where some of you are now, back in the late 80s. I had seen some of the stuff, videos of some of it, and these guys running around and jumping through, you know, Jerry Barnhart, Rob Latham, and the early days of some of those guys. Man, that looks like fun. Cowboy action shit, all that stuff. And I just never did it. I was in a gun shop in Laverne, about, I don't know, around 86, maybe, 87. Somewhere along in there, and there was a poster on the wall about a big pistol match that was going to be held down that way. I think it was in the summer or fall, and you know, that's like that stuff I've seen in the videos or on TV, maybe, you know. And I had a 45, you know, 1911, and I'd been shooting, and yeah, it would be fun to try. And back then, that's what most people were using, and that kind of stuff. And I put the date on my calendar, thought about it. Someone else had mentioned it, you know, somewhere else, and I don't know. Of course, I love to shoot, you know, in the 80s, just like now. And I just kind of made a point. I would just drive down there and look at it. I just go there physically, and it was a Saturday morning, and I would just watch it, you know. And it got closer and closer, and I'd been shooting, you know, and I had picked up 3,000. I remember I was not casting bullets, but I had found 3,000 cast 45 ACP bullets, 230 grain lead, at a gun show. And this is back when you didn't find cast bullets as often. They were kind of hard to come by. You know, they just weren't everywhere like they are now. I brought those home. I just bought a progressive reloader. It was a Lee. Back when I was using the Lee, they were a little cranky. But I got all those loaded, and I had been shooting a fair amount. I had shot most of those 3,000 bullets, and I was feeling pretty good, you know, about my skills growing a little bit. And anyway, I did put the gun in the trunk, and the only holster I had, it was a snap-down holster of some sort. I had one or two. I had some kind of old leather mag pouch. I had a military mag pouch that snapped closed, you know, that kind of thing. That's all I had. Took my stainless 1911, threw it in the trunk, but I wasn't going to shoot. I was just going down there. It was Murfreesboro, is where it was, Tennessee. Stopped at a market to get gas, something to drink, coffee or something, and ran into a guy in there asking for directions to the same place I was headed. And his name was Jim. It was funny, we got to talking. He was going to the same thing for the first time. And I think he was planning to shoot. I'm not sure. Anyway, we went over there, and I got to watching, you know, and talking to people, and people were real good, you know, friendly. There's a lot of people there. I don't know how many shot that day, 60, 70, I don't know, there was a lot of people. And the more I looked at it, and the people were trying to talk, I said something about, you know, I have my gun, but I don't think I want to try this, you know, I just want to watch. Well, you know how this thing goes. People were saying, get your gun, try it, what the heck, you know. So I did, and I watched a lot of people go through the courses of fire, you know, before I got up there. And I felt like, okay, I won't maybe make too big a fool out of myself. And it looks like fun. You're shooting some steel and targets and combinations of that, shooting through doorways and all that. You know, range officer right, your elbow. And they were really good with people, because I think there were some other new shooters too, new people to competition. Anyway, I did it, went through it, and turned out did better than I would have expected. Very first time, you know, placed high enough to win a holster and everything, 15th or 16th or something, you know. So I felt like I was Rob Latham that day, you know. So it was pretty neat. And my old snap holster, I had to use the snap because I had a snap. I didn't even know what the rules were for all this stuff, you know. And didn't have enough magazines, really, but I got through it. And it was fun. You know, and then I just got started going to other matches, found some others, and then got into IPSC and helped some guys. And I started one of the first IPSC clubs in Middle Tennessee, and it just went from there. Did some of that in IDPA, and then did some cowboy shooting. I'll talk about all that some other radio show. But main thing I wanted to stress is you got to make the first step, because the same thing I did that day. You know, I got out of bed, I put my stuff in the car, even though I didn't think I would shoot. I had it with me, and I did it. There was nobody with me. I didn't have a friend to go with me and talk me into it or anything. I just got up, drove to that match, and then I shot in it. You know, and I'm so glad I did, because it was fun. It was fun. I did the same thing with SAS. You know, cowboy action shooting. I was a little reluctant to put on all the gear and get the hats and all that kind of thing you're supposed to wear in those matches, but I finally even got enough gear and did that one day. Drove to the place, didn't know anybody really, had just called and talked to the director, showed up and did it. You know, you just got to kind of take a couple of steps forward and do that. If you're one of those people like I was, it looks to you like that would be fun, just go ahead and take the plunge. Make sure you got a holster that covers the trigger guard. You got a couple of mag pouches. You've got probably 4 to 6 magazines. 4 will get you through most kinds of matches. IPSC, you probably need 5 or 6, depending on what kind of gun you're shooting. I think IDPA claims that you just need 3 or 4 magazines. They try to make it more realistic. But to be safe, it's a lot more convenient if you have a couple extra magazines, just for various reasons. It's easier to make sure you're loaded for the next stage and just various things. But as long as you've got 3 or 4 or 5 magazines, your gun's in working order, you got a holster, read up on the rules before you go. They've got websites, all these competitions do. Just go do it. There's going to be a lot of people there. You'll be surprised. There'll be a lot of people who will do better than you, and there'll be a lot of people that you will beat. That's just kind of the way it is. And then don't worry about where you fall on the score card. You'll worry about that soon enough. Yeah, and then just have fun. So anyway, that's my recommendation there. I think I'll save the magazine article I was going to just mention until the next broadcast. I want to let you know I did purchase a Mossberg 590A1 shotgun. I used to have one back in the day. Gosh, it's been 15, 20 years ago. I let a local deputy talk me out of it. He was interested. He really liked it. And I had a Benelli at the time, and other guns. I just, so I sold it to him or traded. I forgot how that all transpired, but it's been a long time ago. I used to be a reserve deputy here in the county, as I've mentioned before, and it was with a fellow I rode with. He really liked it, and I just traded or sold it to him, forgot which. But I kind of missed it over the years. Just never have replaced it. I like the Remington just fine. But I've been looking at these A1 models, the Parkerized guns and everything, and I really like military rifles and shotguns and things because they're made so well, generally. And anyway, I picked up one recently without the ghost ring sights. I love ghost ring sights, but I don't know. I've gotten spoiled by the ones that were on my Remington. It's that Scattergun Tech gun, goes back to Scattergun Technologies, that Wilson bought out, and now Wilson offers all those same models, I think, and everything, and those same sights, the track lock sights. Those are really nice ghost ring sights. I don't know if you've ever had those on a shotgun or on a Remington. They are wonderful. You don't have to have the big wings. They're low profile. sturdy as a tank. Just wonderful sights. You hardly know they're there, which, as you know, is pretty unusual for the typical ghost ring sights and wing affair that you normally see, just like on the Mossberg. And I'm sure that's a great ghost ring sight on the Mossberg, the A1. You got the large wings to protect it, and you could probably bounce that thing around Afghanistan. I guess guys are doing that, without any problems, without breaking them. But I don't know. I'm really partial to a handy gun, a handy tool, one that doesn't have all the extras in the way on it, unless you absolutely have to have them. So anyway, I've been spoiled by those track-lock ghost ring sights, so I wanted to get this one just kind of plain Jane on top. And if I find something similar to the track-lock sights I could put on there, I might do that. But anyway, the old 8-1, it's good to have one of those again. I haven't even shot it yet as I record this, but looking forward to getting out here in the snow and taking a few shots with it. Probably see it in a video coming up pretty soon, or maybe have already seen it by the time you see this or hear this. I don't know. But the old 598-1, pretty smooth operating shotgun. Lots of arguments about which is better, that or the Remington, kind of the Ford Chevy debate, I guess. They're both good guns. As I understand, that Mossberg was the one that passed the 3,000 round test. Initially, no, the others did not. So I guess there's something going for it. I know over the years I hear people complain about the fact it has an alloy receiver. Well, so does a Benelli. Look what a Glock's made of. So that kind of thing doesn't bother me. As long as it holds up, doesn't bother me a bit. But anyway, you'll see that in action as we move on through. Good old Mossberg 590A1. So I hope there's been a little bit of information from all my ramblings this week. Maybe something you could use, something that is of interest. Who knows what I'm going to say that might be information you were not aware of, or who knows what might bore you that I'm not aware of. But anyway, I've rambled a little bit this week again and had a little fun doing it. Hope you all are members of some gun rights organization. Some organization of your choice. I'm not going to tell you what to join, but something at the state level, something at the national level, the local level, or both. Hopefully you're contributing to the cause financially, and then also with your behavior, and you're promoting the shooting sports in a really positive manner to the very best of your ability, and just being a good person. That's enough, right? So, you guys have a good week, and life is good even on the radio. You've been listening to the Hickok 45 radio show. See you on the range.